the human prisoner. The sound of metal doors echoed through the great hall. Cold blue light poured from the ceiling, washing over shining alien armor and sharp silver walls. Captain Ryan Hayes slowly opened his eyes. His head ached. His wrists burned from the weight of glowing chains. He was not on his ship anymore. The last thing he remembered was a white flash, his cruiser shaking, alarm screaming, and then darkness. Now he was standing in front of a giant throne made of crystal. Around him, hundreds of alien soldiers watched in silence. At the center sat King Valthor, ruler of the Thalorian Empire. His crown floated above his head like a ring of fire. His eyes glowed gold. On both sides of the throne stood two women, tall, beautiful, and terrifying. Their silver skin shimmered under the light. Their eyes were like molten stars. They were the royal princesses, Lyra and Nira. Ryan tried to speak, but the chain sent a small electric shock through his body. A guard pushed him to his knees. The king's voice filled the hall, deep and cold. "Human of Earth, your fleet entered our sacred space. You destroyed our patrols. You insulted the throne of Thaler. For that you must pay." Ryan lifted his head. "We came for peace. One of your ships attacked first. We defended ourselves," the court began to whisper. The king raised his hand. Silence fell again. "Peace?" the king repeated. "You bring weapons into our system and speak of peace. You stand here alone and weak. Your world is nothing. I could burn it from the stars." Ryan stared straight at him. "Then do it," he said quietly, "and prove that the mighty king fears one human ship." The room gasped. Guards stepped forward, but the king only smiled. "Brave," he said. "Foolish, but brave." Princess Lyra stepped closer. Her voice was sharp like crystal. "Father, allow me to decide his fate." Her twin, Nira, frowned. "He should not die. He fought for his crew. That is honor, even for a human." The king looked between them. Then he spoke words that froze every heart in the hall. "Very well. He shall not die. He will marry my daughters, both of them." Ryan blinked. He thought he heard wrong. The court erupted into shocked voices. Even Lyra and Nira looked stunned. The king continued, voice echoing like thunder. "The prophecy of the Thaler says, when twin stars fade, a child of another world shall bind the royal blood and restore our light. It speaks of a human. For centuries we waited. Now the sign is here." Ryan shook his head. "You can't be serious," Lyra crossed her arms. "You should be honored, human. No outsider has ever joined the royal line." "I will not be forced into anything," Ryan said firmly. The king's eyes turned darker. "Then you choose death?" Ryan looked around. Hundreds of alien eyes stared at him. He could feel his heart racing. Still, he lifted his chin. "If my choice is between slavery and death, I'll take death." For a long moment, the king said nothing. Then he laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "So be it. Throw him into the crystal dungeons. Let him reconsider before dawn." Guards grabbed Ryan and dragged him away. As he passed the twin princesses, Nira whispered, "Do not anger him more. He will destroy your world." Ryan met her eyes. Then maybe it's time someone stood up to him. The great doors slammed shut behind him. The dungeon was made of transparent walls that glowed faintly, showing shadows of other prisoners. Strange creatures with scales and tentacles stared from their cells. The air was cold and heavy, filled with humming energy. Ryan sat on the floor, his hands still bound. He tried to think. Earth didn't even know where he was. No signal could pass through these alien walls. Hours passed. Finally, footsteps echoed. A small window in the door opened and a soft voice spoke. "Human," the voice said, "are you awake?" Ryan looked up. It was Princess Nira. She held a small crystal bowl filled with glowing blue water. She slid it through the opening. "Drink, you need strength." "Why are you helping me?" Ryan asked. Her eyes looked sad. "Because my father will not stop at you. He wants Earth under his rule. If you refuse, he will send the fleet." Ryan felt his stomach tighten. "So this is not about marriage. It's about control." Nira nodded. "He believes the prophecy will make him a god. But it was never meant for him. It was meant to unite worlds, not enslave them." She glanced around nervously. "I should not be here. Lyra watches everything. But I had to warn you. Choose wisely, human. Your answer decides the fate of two worlds." Before Ryan could reply, the sound of boots echoed down the corridor. Nira froze. "They are coming," she whispered. "Please, stay alive." Then she vanished into the shadows. Two guards entered and checked his cell but found nothing unusual. After they left, Ryan leaned against the wall. staring at the faint stars visible through a crack high above. He thought of Earth, of blue oceans, of the cities he once protected, of the people who believed their defenders were strong. He whispered to himself, if they want to fight, they'll get one. Outside, far above the dungeon, massive Thalorian warships began to move across the sky. Their engines glowed like suns. They were not heading away. They were turning toward Earth. The King's Wrath darkness hummed inside the crystal dungeons. Captain Ryan hadn't slept. The glowing chains around his wrists pulsed like a heartbeat feeding his fear. Above him, faint rumbling shook the floor. Warships moving, engines roaring like distant thunder. He knew what that meant. The Thalorian fleet was preparing to leave orbit. To strike Earth. Ryan clenched his fists. Not while I breathe, he whispered. The door hissed open. Blinding blue light poured inside as guards entered. Their armor gleamed like glass. The king summons the prisoner, one said. Ryan was dragged through long corridors filled with alien firelight. Each wall pulsed with living energy, showing visions of past battles, planets burning, fleets shattered. It was a warning. The Thalorian Empire was built on fear. When they reached the throne hall, the sight froze him. The king stood in his armor of living metal, a shimmering crown hovering above his head. Beside him, Lyra and Nyra wore ceremonial robes that sparkled with embedded starlight. Around them floated generals, priests, and advisors. The hall smelled of ozone and smoke. The king's voice was calm. Too calm. Human, he said, the time for choice is over. You refused our peace. You refused our daughters. Now you will watch your world burn. He lifted one hand. A hologram appeared, a vision of Earth, blue and shining. Then Thalorian warships appeared in orbit above it, their weapons charging. Ryan stepped forward despite the guards. You can't do this. Millions of lives. The king smirked. Millions of lesser lives. They will kneel when they see the sky on fire. Lyra turned away. Her jaw was tight. Father, this is madness. The prophecy said unity, not destruction. The king's eyes flashed gold. Silence. You will obey. Nyra spoke softly, trembling. Please, stop. This is not what the gods wanted. The king turned his gaze toward her, voice cold as ice. You both forget who gave you breath. Then he raised his staff. Energy crackled around it. If the human will not unite with our blood, we will erase his kind. Ryan shouted, if you touch my planet, I'll end you myself. The room erupted in laughter. Dozens of alien warriors mocked him. A single human against an empire. Impossible. But Ryan didn't lower his eyes. There was steel in his stare. The king approached him slowly, stopping inches away. You humans think courage makes you strong. It only makes your death painful. Ryan's voice was low but steady. Maybe. But courage is something your kind forgot a long time ago. For the first time, the king's smile vanished. His aura flared with anger. Throw him into the pit, he ordered. Let him witness what happens to those who defy Thaler. They dragged Ryan through another door, down into a deep cavern. The air grew heavy and hot. The floor was covered with glowing stones. In the center of the pit stood a massive creature, chained, furious, its scales shining like molten metal. Its roar shook the walls, the star beast, one guard whispered. It eats traitors. Ryan was thrown to the ground. Chains released, he stumbled, staring at the beast. It was twice the size of any Earth tank, eyes burning like small suns. It sniffed the air, then looked directly at him. Feed begins, a voice said from above. The beast roared and charged. Ryan dived aside as claws smashed the stone. He grabbed a broken metal rod lying near the wall. It was useless against something that big, but he refused to die kneeling. The monster lunged again. Ryan rolled beneath it, jamming the rod into a joint of its armor. Sparks flew. The creature howled in pain. For a moment it hesitated, then a flash. Blue energy sliced through the air. The beast screamed and collapsed. Ryan looked up. Nyra stood above the pit, holding a glowing blade. Guards lay unconscious around her. Hurry, she shouted. There's no time. Ryan ran toward the wall. Nyra lowered a glowing chain. He climbed, bloodied but alive. When he reached the top, she pressed a crystal into his hand. This will open the lower gates. It's old tech. My father forgot it exists. He stared at her. Why are you helping me again? Because I can't let him destroy another world, she said, voice trembling. And because Lyra and I can't escape alone. If he dies, the prophecy will break the Empire apart. Ryan frowned. What prophecy really says? Nira hesitated. It says the one who joins two stars will bring dawn to dying worlds. No one ever said it must be by marriage. It could mean something else, an alliance, sacrifice, or... Before she could finish, alarms blared. Red light filled the corridors. The king's voice boomed across the palace. My daughter has betrayed me. Capture them both. Bring me the human alive. Ryan and Nira started running. Guards swarmed from every hall. Energy blasts hit the walls around them. The air filled with smoke and heat. They reached a chamber filled with ancient machines. Dark, forgotten tech from before the Empire's rise. In the center stood a broken gateway pulsing with faint blue light. This is the only way out, Nira said, but it's unstable. It may kill us. Ryan looked back. Dozens of soldiers closing in. He grinned faintly. Then we better move fast. They jumped through the portal just as the door exploded behind them. A blinding flash swallowed them whole. When Ryan opened his eyes again, he wasn't in the palace. He was lying on red sand beneath a dying sun. The sky burned orange. Beside him, Nira gasped for air. They were on another world. A forbidden world. The grave planet of the old Thaler gods. Ryan looked around, heart pounding. Where are we? Nira whispered. The place where the prophecy began, and where it must end. The escape and the secret red dust rose in clouds as Ryan struggled to his feet. The air felt thin, heavy with ancient heat. The sky was cracked with lightning, though no storm moved. Around him stretched endless ruins, black towers broken and half buried in sand. Nira knelt beside him, clutching her arm. Her silver skin glowed faintly under the strange sun. We made it, she whispered. The old gods spared us. Ryan looked around, confused. Where are we? Nira's voice trembled. This world is called Veiltor. Long ago it was the heart of the Thalorian Empire, before my father twisted its truth. No ship dares come here now. They say the spirits curse all who try. Ryan gazed at the broken statues rising from the dunes. Tall figures with wings and halos of crystal. Each one was cracked, their faces carved in agony. They don't look like gods, he said quietly. They look like prisoners, Nira nodded. Because they were. The first rulers of Thaler promised peace among worlds, but our ancestors betrayed them, turned their power into weapons. Ryan frowned. Then your father's war isn't just greed. It's history repeating itself. She looked at him, eyes filled with guilt. Yes, and you, human, are caught in it. Hours passed. They built a small camp inside the ruins. Nira found an ancient console buried beneath dust and vines. She touched it. Blue light flickered alive. Symbols danced in the air, showing an old map of the stars. Ryan leaned closer. That's Earth. Yes, Nira said softly. And there, the twin stars of Thalor. The prophecy began when both stars started to die. The priest said a child of a far world would unite them again. My father believes that means by blood, by forcing you to marry me and Lyra. Ryan shook his head. But what if the prophecy doesn't mean marriage? What if it means unity by choice, not chains? Nira smiled sadly. You sound like Lyra used to before father filled her heart with duty. Ryan looked up sharply. Used to? You mean she's not his puppet? Nira hesitated. Lyra hides more than anyone knows. She plays the loyal daughter, but she hates what he's become. I think she wants to end this war too, in her own way. Ryan's mind raced. If she's still in the palace, she could help us stop him. Nira nodded slowly. Maybe, but she's being watched. And father's wrath is growing. If he finds out we're alive, he'll destroy this planet and everything on it. Suddenly the ground trembled. Dust fell from the ruins. Ryan grabbed his blaster, eyes scanning the shadows. What was that? Nira's eyes widened. Not a quake. A landing. In the distance, engines roared, silver dropships piercing the clouds. Thalorian banners glowed red on their sides. They found us, Ryan said grimly. Nira ran to the console, pressing symbols quickly. I can overload the energy core under these ruins. It will destroy their scanners, maybe buy us time. Ryan grabbed her hand. That'll kill you. I'm not afraid, she said. I have lived my life in fear. No more. Ryan looked at her. This alien princess, fragile yet fierce, and something inside him stirred. Then let's both survive instead. They ran across the dunes, chased by flashes of plasma fire. Alien soldiers landed in swarms, shouting orders in the Thalorian tongue. Ryan fired back, ducking behind shattered pillars. One blast grazed his arm. Pain burned through him. Naira shouted, "No, this way," and led him toward a glowing doorway half buried in rock. Inside was a vast chamber, round with a crystal in the center floating in midair. The air hummed with power. "What is this place?" Ryan asked. Naira stepped forward, eyes wide with awe. "The heart of Vialtor, the last relic of the true gods." As she spoke, the crystal pulsed. Once, twice, and then shone brighter, reacting to her presence. Symbols appeared around it, ancient words floating in the air. Ryan stared at them. "Can you read that?" "Yes," Naira whispered. "It says only when the blood of the stars meets the heart of another world shall balance return." Ryan frowned. Blood of the stars. Heart of another world. That's us. Naira looked at him, realization dawning in her eyes. The prophecy isn't about control. It's about trust. Two different worlds, one choice. Unity through will, not force. Ryan stepped closer to the crystal. It pulsed brighter, responding to his heartbeat. Energy flowed between him and Naira, threads of blue light connecting them. The ground trembled again. "The fleet is coming closer," she said. "If we can activate this core, it might stop them." "How?" "We must link our energy, human and Thalorian, together." Ryan took her hand. "Then let's do it." They placed their palms on the crystal. A blinding surge of light exploded outward. For a moment, Ryan saw visions. Stars being born, galaxies forming, and two bright lights merging into one. Then everything went silent. When the light faded, Ryan and Naira stood in the ruins, unharmed. The sky had changed. The two dying Thalorian suns now burned bright again, their light reborn. But far away in the royal palace, King Valthor watched in fury as his fleet systems failed one by one. His power was collapsing. "Impossible," he roared. The prophecy was mine. Lyra entered the throne room slowly. Her face was calm, but her eyes blazed. "No, father. It was never yours," the king glared. "You knew?" Lyra nodded. "I knew the moment the human spoke. He has done what you never could, given hope instead of fear." The king raised his weapon, shaking with rage. "Then you are a traitor to your blood," Lyra whispered. "Then let my blood end your reign." Far below on Valtor, Naira gasped. "Something's happening." "I can feel Lyra." Ryan looked up. The sky above them shimmered with red fire. "What's she doing?" Naira's voice shook. "Ending our father's rule." The battle for the throne. The twin sons of Thalor burned bright again for the first time in 1,000 years, their light cutting through endless darkness. Yet inside the royal palace, shadows only deepened. King Valthor stood before the throne, the floor trembling beneath his rage. Broken holograms of his fleets flickered in the air, ships losing power, collapsing from orbit, systems failing across the empire. He slammed his staff against the ground, cracking the crystal floor. "Find them!" he roared. "Find the human and my daughter. They stole the light of Thalor." No one moved. Generals stared in fear. The king's aura burned golden, waves of energy scorching the air. Then the great doors opened. Princess Lyra entered, her armor black and silver, her face calm but cold. "They didn't steal it," she said softly. "They restored it." The king turned. "You dare speak against me?" Lyra stepped closer, every footstep echoing through the hall. "You lied to us all, father. The prophecy wasn't about you. It was about balance. But you turned it into chains and war. You are blinded by weakness," Valthor hissed. "This empire stands because of my will." Lyra's eyes glowed faintly blue. "No, father. It survives despite you." The king raised his staff, lightning swirling around it. "Then you are no daughter of mine." "I never was," Lyra whispered. Far below on the planet Valtor, Ryan and Naira watched the suns blaze through the red sky. The ancient ruins pulsed with energy. Naira's connection to her sister grew stronger with every heartbeat. "She's fighting him," Naira said, her voice breaking. Ryan looked toward the horizon, where a faint shimmer marked the portal's reactivation. "Then we go back." Naira shook her head. "You'll die if you face him." Ryan smiled faintly. "Then I'll die trying. Because if he destroys her, everything we just did will vanish. The prophecy will die with her." He held out his hand. "Come with me, Naira, we end this together." For a moment she hesitated, then nodded. Together. They stepped into the portal. Back in the palace, thunder cracked as the throne room erupted in chaos. Lyra and Valthor circled each other, lightning flashing from the king's weapon. "You cannot defeat me," he shouted. "I was chosen by the gods themselves." Lyra deflected the strike with her blade, sparks flying. "The gods abandoned you long ago." Their weapons clashed again, echoing through the palace like storm drums. Guards watched, frozen, afraid to choose sides. Some dropped their weapons, stepping back. Others joined Lyra, realizing the truth too late. The king lifted his staff and hurled energy across the hall. It struck the ceiling, sending shards of crystal raining down. Lyra fell to one knee, panting, her armor cracked. Then, a flash of blue light filled the room. Ryan appeared through the portal, blaster in hand. Nira followed, holding the glowing relic from Valthor. The king's eyes widened. "Impossible. You should be dead." Ryan grinned through the dust. "You've been trying to kill me since day one. You're bad at it." Lyra looked up, blood on her lip. "You came back. Couldn't let you have all the fun," Ryan said. The king roared, charging forward, staff blazing. Energy waves shot toward Ryan, smashing pillars, shaking the ground. Ryan dived behind the throne, firing blasts from his weapon, but the shots only bent off the king's shield. Nyra ran to her sister, handing her the relic. "The heart of Valthor, it can end this." Lyra took it, her eyes wide. "If we merge its power with the throne crystal, it will purge the false bloodline. But it could kill us," Ryan shouted. "Then we do it before he kills everyone else." The king struck again, energy tearing through the floor. "You think you can use divine power against me? I am the prophecy." Lyra stepped forward, the relic glowing brighter in her hand. "No, father. You're the warning." She pressed the relic against the throne's core. A surge of light exploded, engulfing the room. The walls shimmered as ancient runes came alive. The king screamed, his golden aura twisting violently. "No, it belongs to me!" Nyra and Ryan shielded their eyes as blinding light filled everything. The sound of thunder and breaking glass echoed through eternity. When it ended, silence fell. The king was gone. Only dust and a burned crown remained where he had stood. Lyra collapsed, weak but alive. The throne pulsed gently, its light no longer cruel but warm. Ryan rushed to her side. "You did it," she smiled faintly. "No, we did it." Outside, through shattered palace windows, the people of Thalor looked up. The twin suns burned steady again, the fleets drifting powerless but unharmed. For the first time in ages, the Empire was quiet. Nira stepped forward, her voice shaking. "The rule of fear is over. The prophecy has been fulfilled." Ryan looked between the sisters. "What happens now?" Lyra stood slowly, the throne behind her glowing brighter. "Now we rebuild, not as kings or slaves, but as equals." Ryan nodded. "Then you'll need someone to teach you humans don't bow easily." Lyra's lips curved into a small smile. "And you'll need someone to remind you that power means nothing without heart." Far beyond the palace, deep in the void, the Thalorian fleet began to reawaken. Messages spread across the systems. The king is dead. The light has returned, and on every world people whispered the same new name, the Human Alliance. But Ryan looked to the stars and felt a strange pull, a sense that the story wasn't over. The prophecy's final line echoed in his mind. "When twin stars burn as one, the shadow beyond the veil shall awaken." He stared into the black horizon of space and muttered, "Then it's just beginning." The twin vow silence ruled the Thalorian palace after the storm of battle. Smoke curled from the shattered pillars. The great throne, once a symbol of fear, now pulsed with calm blue light, alive again. Captain Ryan stood near the broken window, staring at the twin suns rising together over the horizon. The war was over. The king was gone, but the weight in his chest only grew heavier. Behind him, Lyra and Nyra approached. Their armor was cracked, their faces tired, but their eyes glowed softly with new light. The light of freedom. "It's strange," Lyra said quietly. "For so long I dreamed of this day. I thought I'd feel joy, but I feel only emptiness." Nyra touched her shoulder gently. "Because peace feels quiet after years of screams." Ryan turned to them. "Your people will need you now. They'll look for someone to lead." Lyra shook her head. "No more rulers. We'll guide them but not control them. Thalor must learn to stand without chains." For a brief moment, hope filled the air, but then the throne's blue light flickered and dimmed. The floor trembled. A low hum rose from deep beneath the palace. Ryan's instincts screamed. That doesn't sound good. Nira looked pale. It's the heart of Valtor. It's unstable. The king's death disrupted the balance. The energy is collapsing. Lyra ran to the console beside the throne. If it implodes, the entire system will be destroyed. Ryan clenched his fists. How do we stop it? Lyra hesitated. The prophecy spoke of twin stars burning as one. The light is tied to us and our bond. But it's fading. Nyra realized it at once. Because we're no longer united. We carry doubt, fear, anger. Ryan looked between them. Then we fix that. Right now, the room shook harder. Energy cracks crawled up the walls, glowing red. Guards fled in panic as the entire palace began to melt under the pressure. Outside ships drifted aimlessly, powerless to help. Lyra faced her sister. Nyra, we must merge our energy one last time, but it might take everything we have. Nyra stepped closer, eyes steady. Then we give it, together. Ryan stepped forward. Wait, there's another way. He pointed to the throne. The crystal links to living energy. It doesn't need death, and it needs a bridge. Lyra frowned. A bridge, he nodded. The prophecy said a heart of another world. That's me. I can connect your bond and stabilize it. You don't need to die. Nyra shook her head. If you try, the energy could tear you apart. You're human, your body can't handle it. Ryan smiled faintly. You underestimate humanity, we break, but we don't stop. He walked to the throne, placing his hand on the glowing core. It pulsed under his touch, reacting to his heartbeat. Link with me, he said softly. Both of you. Lyra and Nyra stepped on each side, placing their hands beside his. The crystal flared white. In that moment, the three of them shared a single vision. Stars spinning, worlds forming, light binding all living things. They saw the truth of the prophecy. Not power, not marriage, not blood, but choice. The twin princesses whispered together. We vow, as one soul divided, to protect this light and never rule through fear again. Ryan's voice joined theirs, steady and strong. And I vow, humanity will stand beside you, not above you, not below you. The crystal roared to life, sending a column of light through the palace roof and out into space. Across the Thalorian Empire, every ship reignited. Cities once in ruins glowed again. People fell to their knees as the twin suns blazed brighter than ever. The prophecy was fulfilled, but at a cost. When the light faded, Ryan collapsed to his knees. Smoke rose from his hands where the energy had burned his skin. Nira caught him, tears in her eyes. You fool. You could have died. Ryan coughed weakly, smiling. Wouldn't be the first time I scared a princess. Lyra knelt on the other side, wiping her face. You saved not just us, but our entire world. Ryan looked up at the glowing sky. No, we saved it. Outside, bells rang across the empire, the first sound of peace in centuries. Days later, the people gathered before the palace. Lyra and Nyra stood on the steps with Ryan between them. Their voices echoed through the city. Lyra spoke first. The age of kings is over. From today, every world, every voice, so human or Thalorian, will share the same light. Nyra lifted her hand, revealing the new emblem. 2 intertwined stars around a small blue sphere, Earth. We call it the Twin Accord. Cheers erupted. The crowd shouted a single word that spread through the stars. Unity. Ryan turned to the sisters. You two sure about this? Building peace is harder than fighting war. Lyra smiled softly. Then it's a good thing we know a human stubborn enough to remind us. Nyra grinned. We could use an ambassador. Ryan laughed quietly. Ambassador? Never liked fancy titles. He looked at the stars above and whispered, just call me, friend. But as the sun set and the celebration faded, deep beneath the palace, something stirred. The fragments of the king's shattered crown glowed faintly, whispering with a voice not of this world. A cold shadow spread through the cracks of the floor. A whisper echoed in the dark. When twin stars burn as one, the veil shall open. Ryan, standing on the balcony, felt a chill crawl down his spine. He looked up at the heavens, 2 suns glowing peacefully, and muttered, whatever comes next. Humanity will be ready. The stars flickered as if in answer.